Hi, it's Merle Miller again here with Stewardship Management and Realty. Thanks for taking a minute to check out this video. This is going to be a little more of an in-depth video for you as a potential client of ours, or maybe an active new client that you just signed on and completed all the onboarding documents. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more with you about frequently asked questions. How is this going to work? When am I contacted when a unit becomes vacant, and all of the different approaches with maintenance or with evictions and leasing. So it's not fully comprehensive, and we maybe won't cover every detail, but I'm going to try and give you as much of an overview as possible to have you be comfortable and familiar with what's going to be happening together in the next months. So I'll try to touch on a handful of topics. So first of all, our pricing and terms. By now you should have gotten a welcome packet that gives you a lot of the specifics of how we approach our pricing. It's based off of the gross monthly rents that we collect. So if we don't collect rent money from your apartment or your house, we don't earn a management fee until that unit is occupied again. So every part of the pricing structure that we put together here is based on us winning together or losing together. So when you're struggling more, we're struggling as well. It seems to make a lot of sense to me. So our tiered pricing structure incentivizes you to grow with us if you like the results we're getting for you. Anywhere from $0 to $49.99 in monthly gross rents. You'd be at your 10% management fee, and then from $5,000 to $19,999, you're at 9%. And any client that has $20,000 or more in gross monthly rents, you'd be at our lowest management fee of 7% per month. So, our leasing fee, 70% of the first month's rent. Lease renewals, that's something that we try to be strategic with that, to have incremental increases, and we just ask to charge 2.5 times whatever the rent increase amount is. So if we get a $50 per month increase, it would be a single charge of 2.5 times $50. When there's a tenant that's not new to the apartment or the house, but just re-signing a lease. We really work hard to be very careful and very wise and discerning with how we justify service calls. We try to diagnose things over the phone when a tenant calls in, but we are responsive, and we do want to make sure that the tenant has things repaired or replaced that are safety issues, function issues, and our techs do a great job of that. Our average response time right now is 4 days from the time that a legitimate service call comes in to when Josh or Gene or one of the service techs gets out and makes the repairs. I hope that clarifies just some of the details there. We ask for $57 per hour, billed by the minute, for our maintenance techs to be out at a property. That covers one leg of the drive time, and we ask you as the new client to cover the other leg of the drive time. So we try to be really careful with, if we have 4 or 5 service calls in one area, we'll try to bunch those together as much as we can to save each of our clients money, and we add a one-time service fee of $59 to each of those service calls. So if we have to go back for some reason, or we didn't have enough for the right tools or enough of the materials, depending on what happened when we got there, you only get charged that service fee that one time. So we do also have a leasing-only package. Some clients take advantage of that. If you don't want us to do full-time management of your property, and you really just want us to help place a resident there and run through the screening process and do the showings and sign the lease, that's something we offer too, for a little different pricing structure of 100% the first month's rent. And those details are gone into in our welcome packet too. So. A few other things that a lot of new clients have questions about are screening criteria. We have 3 buckets of screening criteria that you get to choose as the owner of the property, how we approach screening applicants for a vacant unit. We have silver, gold, and platinum criteria. You'll find all the details there, and you can have that be specific to each property if you have multiple houses or properties, but we can't split that up between a single property. So if you own a triplex, that entire address will be gold or silver, whatever you choose. So we make sure to abide by all our fair housing laws. Some of the frequently asked questions that new clients have are about evictions. That's something we can handle for you in just about all cases, unless there's some really unusual dynamics. Sometimes our attorney will ask us to have the owner involved a little more, but 98% of the time or more, we can pretty well handle all of the correspondence for an eviction, working with the resident, preparing the paperwork for a court date, and then representing you as the owner in court. We do that all the time with very little issue. We try to avoid going to court in the first place. We try to utilize our Cash for Keys program, which is a great way to avoid putting an eviction on a tenant's record, and expedites getting you the access to the apartment or your house again, so we can get in and get the place cleaned up and renovated and ready to re-rent. So we can talk a little more about that in detail if you have questions. But year to date in 2024, we've only had, it's mid-October right now, and we've only had 6 evictions in the entire year of 2024 so far. And in most cases, tenants that struggle with payments, we help them transition out in a way that's faster and that's more golden rule than just filing eviction documents with a courthouse and putting that on their record. A few other frequently asked questions that I tend to get when someone is shopping a property management company are, how do we handle maintenance thresholds and involving you as the owner in decisions with repairs or with vacancy, renovations, and expenses? So in the management agreement, there are 3 options for you to choose a dollar amount maintenance threshold, either $500, $1,000, or $2,500. So we have those 3 maintenance thresholds that Jessie, our maintenance leader, really works hard to respect. And when she sees that there's a repair that's coming up to your maintenance threshold, let's say it's $1,000, and if we're coming up to where she sees a repair might be $975 or so, she's going to reach out to you and just mention, hey, we just had, for example, a hot water heater that we couldn't save and we need to install a brand new one. She's going to get your input on that and work with you. Ideally, we don't like to be getting 4, 5, 6 estimates on something because it's often time sensitive. If there's something like hot water involved, or a stove, or something like that can create some stress for a tenant. But we do our very best to be strategic and to get you a few options of pricing. So I hope that's helpful regarding maintenance thresholds. That's something you can always adjust to as you go. Some clients like to start lower at the $500 mark, and then as you get used to how we handle things and there's trust developed, some clients will move it up to $1,000 or $2,500 in the year or two after we start working together. One other note that I want to make is about our 20% markup on subcontractors or retail materials that we need to purchase. We have a warehouse downstairs where just about all of our high volume items we keep here. We buy them in bulk, like you've probably heard about or learned about how we approach that. I really feel strongly about that. But there's often a lot of items that there's no way that we know we need ahead of time, or it's just not smart for us to keep an inventory. So in those cases, we will go and just purchase the materials, usually out on the job. If a maintenance tech comes out to your property and they find out that they need a different sized flex line for a toilet, or a different, kind of a sink faucet than what we have, they're just going to go out and purchase it to do it as quickly as possible, to minimize the involvement, minimize the cost, and then we'll add 20% on top of whatever that price is that they were able to find it at. So that's as strategic a way that we've found to handle things, and it's working pretty well so far. As far as subcontractors, probably 90% of our service work and renovation work we do in-house, which is a lot more strategic. We can control the response times. A lot of times we can actually be cheaper because we're strategic with how we bill. We don't bill by the job, it's just by the hour. If we can be out at a property for 35 minutes, we bill $57 an hour times 35 minutes, and then we have our service fee that's added and 1 leg of the drive time, and that's about it. But there are times when we need to use a subcontractor, and in those cases we ask to add 20% on top of their work, just because because we have the relationship built with that subcontractor. A lot of times that's over the course of several years that I've gotten to know them, or that Meredith or Jesse or others on the team have gotten to know these teams. A lot of times we get strategic pricing from them because of the volume of work we do. So I hope that's of value. I think a lot of our clients find that it's it's worth paying that 20% markup because we're still coordinating, we're still overseeing the work. A lot of times we're scheduling with the tenant and making sure that it's done the right way. Something else that you might be wondering about is how are you made aware of when vacancies come up as we are working together? So when the tenant reaches out to us, assuming they do, sometimes tenants leave and they don't make us aware, and that really is tough for us to know unless we're there for a preventative maintenance walkthrough, or maybe a neighbor mentions that they saw a moving truck or something in the parking lot. That's something that does happen, but please keep in mind that we're not always able to be aware if a tenant moves out and they don't let us know, but that's pretty uncommon. So when we find out that a resident's going to be moving out, we'll make a note of it. We put it on our Google Sheets and our vacancy board so we can track when that date comes up. And then we'll let you know, hey, your resident at 123 Main Street, they're going to be moving out on December 15th. Once we reach out to you and let you know that the tenant's given their notice that they're going to be moving out, we will then schedule, as soon as we have access to the house or apartment, we'll go in and put together a vacancy renovation estimate for you. And then you can look down and see, how many labor hours we have, what the materials are. There's oftentimes a lot of cosmetic things, painting, flooring, some light fixtures, electrical fixtures, updating. And then we go through and basically we will get the unit cleaned for you. We'll take the photos and then we'll let you know when we have a prospect for a signed lease coming up. And then again, when the lease is signed and the keys are handed to the new tenant, you're made aware of that too. And you'll see it on your monthly statement too, when there's details or, hey, this unit has become vacant. You'll see that, but you should also get an email from Christine, our leasing coordinator. A few other things. Our financial statements, we do a single transaction each month. Jenna in our finance department and everybody puts all of the income together, the expenses together, and in the first few days of each subsequent month, they are hustling and reviewing all the notes that the maintenance techs have, that they're putting that all together on your financial statement for you. And so usually between the 3rd and the 7th of each subsequent month are when you will be getting your payment or an invoice, if there's more expenses than we had rent income, that you'll be getting that in your email, and then or your auto deposit that most of our clients do an auto deposit. You should be getting that those first few days. So we try to be very strategic and very efficient with how we do financial statements. There are some areas I want to touch on crime data and our approval and declining of properties. There are some areas in Canton, Akron, Barberton, that are higher crime than what we're comfortable managing. But we work really hard to be careful to respect all protected classes, and we strictly look at crime data in an area. So a lot of our clients, before they'll make offers on a new property, they'll let us know a specific address, and so that we have the chance to research and to give an approval or decline on that specific address before they go ahead and take the time of putting an offer in on a place. So I hope that's helpful for you. We use communitycrimemap.com or crimegrade.org as our two primary crime data websites, combined with our experience and history in all of the areas that we manage. So I'm sure maybe you have some other questions too, but I without going into too much of the granular detail of our pricing, it's all pretty well there in our welcome packet, but I'm happy to talk more with you about the specifics. What happens when we make a mistake? We're a team made up of human beings. I try to tell every new client or tenant that, hey, we're not perfect and we do make mistakes. But what we do try to do is we own those mistakes. If there's something that we forget or we overlook, we really do our best to make it right. even if that means crediting back, a resident with something that they were charged for that they shouldn't have been, or a client. We really work hard to treat everyone with the golden rule and to make things right. We also appreciate that from you, our new potential client, that if there's something that you've forgotten to share with us and it ends up causing confusion or frustration, man, it's nice if you own those mistakes too, so we can have a kind of an open and a high trust relationship with each client. So I know this is a little bit of a longer video, but I hope it gives you a picture of what it would be like to work together on a daily, monthly basis with each other. It takes a little bit of time to get to know your preferences as an owner, your preferred approaches, how you like to handle things, and for you as the client to get to know how we typically approach things. So I often encourage clients to give 6 to 8 months or so of working together before you really have a solid impression of, hey, how well is this going? It can take time. Sometimes tenants, are apprehensive of a new management team too. Maybe they've had a bad experience in the past. We're in the middle of some of that right now with a new building we took on, where some of the tenants are kind of programmed not to like the property manager because they've been neglected, they haven't felt responded to or valued. And so some of that can take time. If you've had a weak financial statement with a previous manager or managing on your own, that's not always solvable within a month or two. It can take time to get units rented, to bring those existing rent rates up to where they can be without seeing a lot of turnover, collecting unpaid rent or utilities that maybe you've been paying for that we need to get the reimbursement from the tenant. So I encourage you, if we do start working together, give us a little bit of time to get to know you and what your priorities are, your risk tolerance, and for you to get to know us as well. So hope that's helpful. Thanks for sitting through this video, and we'll talk to you again soon.